These are the Bahamas' Abaco Islands. Here, 55-year-old American Lynette Hooker went missing, and her husband, Brian, would later face an international investigation. At 7:30 p.m. on a Saturday, the couple left Hopetown for Elbow Cay. They were making the short transit back to their yacht, a vessel named the Soulmate. They were traveling in an 8-foot, hard-bottom inflatable dinghy. Its low profile and small engine make it a fragile vessel for the open waters. Brian Hooker told police that sudden poor weather and strong currents caught them off guard. He claimed his wife was swept overboard, and he lost sight of her in the dark. The initial report presented a classic struggle between man and the elements, with the entire timeline of the tragedy supported only by the survivor's account of the weather. Lynette was reportedly holding the boat's key when she fell into the water. When the key was pulled away, it triggered the engine's kill switch. The motor died instantly, leaving Brian adrift in a disabled boat as the currents carried his wife away. Brian says he spent the next 8 hours manually paddling the dinghy towards safety. He finally arrived at a marina around 4 a.m. Sunday morning. Once the alarm was raised, the Royal Bahamas Police Force and the U.S. Coast Guard launched a massive search and rescue operation, scouring the islands for any sign of Lynette. While an 8-hour paddle is a grueling physical demand, the reality of a disabled engine and the strength of the Bahamian currents made Brian's alibi appear physically possible. As the search grid expanded, the narrative began to face pressure from Lynette's family back home in Michigan. Her daughter, Carly Aylesworth, released a public statement expressing deep frustration with the lack of information she was receiving from the island authorities. Carly called for any involvement at the federal, state, or local authorities to investigate the disappearance, signaling that the family wanted more than just a standard search mission. This public demand for outside investigators suggested the family did not trust the initial reports of a simple boating accident. The investigation was no longer just focused on locating a missing person. It began to center on the specific physical mechanics of how Lynette entered the water in the first place. The environment itself provided a difficult backdrop for the truth. In March 2025, the U.S. State Department issued a travel advisory specifically warning about boating in the Bahamas. The advisory noted boating is poorly regulated on the islands. These waters see many undocumented casualties with little official oversight. This lack of regulation creates a massive maritime blind spot. Without radar, there is no technical record of a vessel's location or onboard events. Proving a crime occurred in this environment is a logistical nightmare. In a foreign marine environment, a weather-related accident is often the easiest explanation for any disappearance. In these unregulated waters, a survivor's timeline is incredibly difficult to verify. The absence of technical oversight means any narrative provided is often the only evidence available. That narrative held for several days, until the physical evidence began to tell a different story. On Tuesday, Bahamian police officially arrested Brian Hooker in connection with his wife's disappearance. While authorities have not released every detail, the arrest indicates they found significant discrepancies between the state of the dinghy and Brian's 8-hour timeline. What began as a search and rescue operation is now a high-stakes criminal investigation, with Bahamian police and U.S. federal agencies working together to retrace every mile of that Saturday night transit. Bahamian police are no longer treating the 8-hour gap as a harrowing feat of survival. They are now investigating it as a period of calculated deception. Even with an arrest, the physical search for Lynette Hooker continues across the Abaco Islands. Every passing hour makes the investigation more difficult. The ocean is a destructive force, eroding physical evidence and making crime scene reconstruction nearly impossible. Without a body to provide forensic clues, the case relies almost entirely on the deconstruction of Brian's alibi and the hours he spent alone on the water. The objective of the Royal Bahamas Police Force has shifted towards establishing a definitive criminal motive. When the ocean washes away the physical truth, the only path to justice is to dismantle the survivor's story piece by piece.